So one of my favorite video games of all time when it comes to arcade games is WWF WrestleFest. I first played this game at Milford Amusement Center when I was very young, and I was absolutely in love with it. I couldn't believe how big the characters were, and they had their own moves and stuff. It was so unlike the NES wrestling games that I had played up until that time frame. Now, we all assumed that Arcade 1-Up would never make one of these. I made, of course, my own custom WrestleFest cabinet, but if a company was ever going to make one of these, I was going to buy it because I wanted to support the cause and show the industry that, hey, we love these classic wrestling games. Lo and behold, a new company burst onto the scene called Basic Fun, and they acquired a WWF WrestleFest cabinet license and created WWE WrestleFest. Now, of course, there's been lots of controversy surrounding this. I talked about it over on the second channel, some of the stuff that was missing from it, some of the stuff that just didn't feel very right with it, but by that time that I had already made that video, I had already ordered mine. It was already shipped, I couldn't cancel my order, and I wanted to get my hands on it anyways to check it out. So how did the cabinet turn out? Is this worth your money to pick up if you're interested in WrestleFest? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So if this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. Without any further ado, let's talk about WWE WrestleFest from Basic Fun. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is I did not put this in my downstairs basement home arcade. Instead, you're getting a look at another room in my house. This is the Knicks/music room because I play guitar in here and I have lots of Knicks crap. But I decided to put this up here because, I don't know, it's near the Hogan room as well, and I just felt like it would be a good fit. Here is the box showcasing off some of the design of the system that we are going to get our greasy little mitts on. I like the box. It shows off the 5 games that are a part of this. One thing I did find to be very interesting was there's no mention of Basic Fun on the box itself, and they're the company that made it. There you'll see their branding on the actual cabinet itself, but no mention of them on here. Kind of a little bit curious. Here's a look at the cabinet itself. This is the instruction booklet that came with it, and boy, oh boy, will we be talking about this instruction booklet. And here is the side panel art. It's fine. You know, it's a little bit kind of, a little bit faded looking. It's not exactly the crispest looking thing in the world, but it is fine. But now we have to talk about the assembly portion of this, because this is where things quickly fell off the rails for me, because I am someone who has assembled many arcade 1-Up cabinets. I have assembled an iArcade cabinet. I have assembled a skee ball thing. I assembled an air hockey table. I assembled the arcade 1-Up Legends pool, or not pool, pinball thing. Like, I know my way around some basic stuff. And I was reading the instructions in this, and there was something that just was not clicking for me. Like, I didn't understand it, and it really came down to this. Now, this may be something, evidently this is common in IKEA furniture, but like these weird screws that have like these weird locking things on them, I have never seen these before. I don't buy new furniture very often, and I didn't understand the way that you kind of use these. And I'm not entirely sure I understand how to use them now. Like, you put them into the wood, and then the wood itself has a hole in which you use this to, like, tighten it when it's in the hole, but it's got to be in, like, the perfect position that you put it in. I struggle with this immensely. And like I said, this could just be a me thing, but this project took me a very long time, to the point of where I started sending videos to Michael B, the Game Genie, who has a lot of home arcade stuff. And I was like, this thing sucks. I'm going to hurt myself. And I don't want to do this anymore. I'm about to throw this out in the trash and just call it a day. And he was like, oh man, I would help you if I could, but I live in Canada, eh? You want some maple syrup, pal? And I was like, no, I want this thing to work. And so I went at it for a very long time. You might notice there are bandages on my fingers. This one was because I was trying to tighten one of the locks, and the screwdriver that I was using, an electric screwdriver, like jumped out of this portion of it and then drilled into my finger. And so that was a mess. And then this, I don't even know how I hurt my finger, but I did hurt my finger. And this took me a long time to assemble. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I assembled this correctly, because I didn't. Okay, there are pieces that are not put on here. I am covered in screws in this room. But one thing is for sure, it got done. Some way, somehow, with crappy instructions. Mike showed me a video of where the video shows what you need to do, but the written instructions don't tell you to put the screw into the wood first. And if you're someone who's not used to this, like, it drove me crazy. But we did get a finished product, folks. And here she is. Now, like I said, she's missing a couple pieces. You know, the board is missing some stuff on it as well. There's like 4 screw holes, and you're supposed to put like another wood piece in there. I'm not doing that, okay? It doesn't move that much, but it's upright. I don't know how it's upright. It's upright with hopes, dreams, a little bit of positivity, but it is standing. And you could see the side art here. You know, the top of it is kind of crappy. Like when you look at it, like you could have put like some colors, you know, like the WrestleFest neon colors up there or something like that. I don't know. You know, it's not the biggest deal in the world. There is no deck protector for this. Now, a third-party company has said that they are looking into making one, but like I expect this to kind of come off on your hands, or like you could see like little handprint marks already just from me messing around with it. So that is a big disappointment in my opinion. Here is the light up marquee. It is a bit washed out, but I don't honestly think it's like that bad. Like, it looks decent enough to me. Like, I don't know. You know, I've never really been like huge into light up marquees and stuff like that. Here you could see the screen and the cover art for the sides of the screen to keep that 4:3 aspect ratio. So, you know, that looks fine. You got the basic fun logo on there, of course. Here's me standing next to it. I am 5'10", so you can kind of see a general height for it. It's actually a pretty decent height for me. And I went ahead and turned off the lights so you could get a glimpse at the screen and the light up marquee in the darkness. But of course, we have to talk about the games. Like, the games are the important thing here. The games are why you're here and what you're most interested in. So we're going to take a look at the games now and get into some of my complaints about it. So the 5 games on this cabinet are WWE WrestleFest, WWE Superstars, Super Dodgeball, Acrobatic Dogfight, and the Big Pro Wrestling. Now, some of these games, really 2 of these games, I have never heard of before, and I am completely unfamiliar with them, so we're going to learn about this one together. This is the first wrestling game. Very primitive. This was a Technos Japan game. Obviously, all of these games are Technos games. I'm sure this is fine. I'm sure someone out there in the world has nostalgia for this game. I'm not that person. Okay, this to me is just kind of like that early eras arcade stuff where it's just like, you know, you tried to do something a little different. It didn't really work all that well, but you tried. And so, you know, I give you a little bit of credit. We're not going to focus too much in on this game. Next up is Acrobatic Dogfight. This I actually didn't hate this. It's very strange. I don't really know what's going on entirely. It seems like it's momentum based as far as the speed is concerned, and you're like shooting stuff, and then you run out of fuel, and then you gotta jump from your plane. I don't know how to get more fuel, but I jumped from my plane, and then it didn't end up very well for me, as you can see here. But yeah, you know, it's a game. All right, so here's Super Dodgeball. Now, Super Dodgeball is a game that if you owned an NES, you probably played this game. And the arcade version of the game is definitely better because it doesn't have like crazy sprite flicker like you saw in the NES version of the game. And I actually think that this game is pretty fun. It has that classic sort of Technos River City Ransom look that they had at that time. And this seems like a really good version of the arcade game. You know, it's definitely playing better than the NES version did. And, you know, you can have some fun with this. It's a fun multiplayer game. It is something that I think, you know, if you got like someone in your house with you, you could definitely play some of this and have some fun. And it's a pretty easy learning curve to enjoy it. But we got to get into meat and potatoes here. WWE Superstars. And here's where we learn about problems. Where's Macho Man Randy Savage? He should be right there at the top in that missing space. But Macho Man is not in this game. And where's Andre? Andre's supposed to be right there. He's not in the game. And it's like, man, couldn't you have told us? couldn't you have let people know? Because the way I view this is, yes, okay, the home arcade community, they're going to buy this, of course, because, I mean, that's the kind of stuff they do. But a lot of wrestling fans are going to be buying this as well. You know, people who have probably never bought one of these arcade cabinets before, and to have so many wrestlers missing from this game, and then especially the next game, it's an incomplete version of the game. Now, Superstars is still a very fun game, but it definitely leaves like a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth when you're missing these characters. You know, you see the WWE stuff, so you could change up logos and images and stuff, but you couldn't add in any other additional content. And then, of course, you have the situation with WrestleFest. Why does this roster look like it's missing people? Because it is missing people. We do not have Sergeant Slaughter. We do not have the Legion of Doom as the boss characters in this game. And you can actually notice when I'm going from screen to screen that there is some screen tearing going on. And it seems like this is the only game that it was super noticeable in. But you could see like the little lines and stuff going across the screen. Definitely a bit on the distracting side. Now, you still do have a decent roster, even though you are missing Slaughter. But as far as how they handled the boss of the game, you know, it's now just two random people at the end of it. So you don't have that tag team. You don't have the Legion of Doom present in the game, you know, showing their little cutscene as well. Now, you do have Mike McGurk in the game, though, who was the female ring announcer. So she's not on the Legends contract. You know, you could see the World Wrestling Entertainment stuff. Honestly, that doesn't bother me all that much. Like, it's a little bit kind of wonky, but it really doesn't bother me all that much. I think if all of the content was intact, like, I wouldn't mind that at all. Like, okay, whatever. I get it. You know, copyright stuff. You know, you didn't want to pay the panda, so now you have to deal with that. I know you guys are seeing it, though. There is some screen tearing in this game, and it is definitely more prevalent than it was in the other games. Now, granted, this is the game I'm most familiar with out of this collection, so this was the one that I was going to have kind of the most knowledge about dealing with, but there definitely is some screen tearing with it. Now, as far as graphics beyond that goes, you know, I think the screen itself is pretty decent. Like, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but I think the characters still look good. The animations are still great. The speakers on it are okay. You know, they're all right. They're not as good as like the original Ninja Turtles arcade one-up cabinet was, but I think they're decent. You know, the audio sounds a little bit better than my custom one does because I don't have very good speakers in that. But you know, it just feels like this could have been a little bit more. This could have been a little bit more special if they just went a little bit above and beyond. And the problem is there is no Wi-Fi on this cabinet, so they can't just do a patch for it and fix the screen tearing, or if they end up getting licenses for missing wrestlers and stuff like that, you know, you're not going to have anything like that. So the thing of it is like it's kind of contingent on the community because there is an SD card slot on this device, and you're just kind of hoping that they're able to kind of fix some of these issues or just get the proper ROMs and put them on here because they're asking a premium price for this product. And I don't think it's exactly a premium product right now. You know, not having a deck protector, that's going to lead to very messy situations where, you know, paint is starting to come off of it. Handprints are going to be all over it and stuff like that. You know, just kind of how it seems like this was the most bare bones thing that they did with this, not kind of going above and beyond trying to get someone else in there. The screen tearing issues are kind of noticeable as well. The kind of wonky instructions and setup and stuff like that. This company definitely has a lot of work ahead of them. And I think like if they would have released something smaller as their first game, you know, people would have been fine with it. But when you're doing WrestleFest, the game that everyone that is a 40-year-old wrestling fan and up has been waiting for, there's a certain level of expectation. There is a certain level of quality that people are expecting. And I feel like they missed the mark with this. You know, there is a countercade version. It only has 4 games on it, but it has Superstars and it has WrestleFest on there. It's only 1 player, but you might want to check that out maybe instead because you can get that for like $200 with the coupon, pending the coupon is still active. I will have a link to both the countercade and the standard cade in the description box down below. I paid $500 for mine, but there was a $100 coupon. I'm not sure how long that is going to last. fast on Amazon, but there will be affiliate links in the description box down below. And I guess just let me know. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know how you feel about it. Did you end up picking up one of these? If so, are you enjoying it? You know, leave a like to heal my fingers, because I can't really play guitar now for a couple of days. That's swell. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.